Hey everyone, welcome to the Box Social. It's Thursday, November 14th, 2013, and I'm Shane Goen. I'm joined by Brennan Hassan.
Hi.
And Caleb Dodge.
I'm not drunk enough for this yet.
You are.
I'm only drunk on life, sadly.
What are you drinking?
Nothing. I'm all out of booze.
So sad.
This is not going to be a good podcast without a bottle of whiskey on the side.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
All right.
You should just take up home brewing. Just make yourself like infinite beer. You'll be happy.
That's like cheat codes for life.
I wonder if they've got a plasmid for that in Rapture.
If only.
If only they had a plasma for that in Rapture.
This is what you just walk around and you get drunk and Liz was just like, what the fuck you doing?
Yeah.
Getting rid of the memories.
She does that quite a bit in that.
Yeah, she's taken up smoking recently.
Yeah, she has taken up smoking recently. I'm the only one here who's beaten the DLC, by the way.
We were talking about
just
that?
putting it out there.
Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and just say it.
I thought the plasmid segue was smooth, but I don't know.
And then you just fucked everything up, Brennan. Way to go, asshole! Trying to be all professional and shit.
I'm like 3 beers in. Professionalism is gone, especially since they're like IPA beers. They're higher alcohol content. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, Barry, let's see. I've played about 2 hours. Dan, you've about 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah.
It took me 4 hours to complete it. And
What'd you think?
I fucking loved it. Way worth the money. If anyone is buying the DLC, just get the season pass because why would you want to spend $30? You can just spend $20.
Absolutely.
And then you get the extra like horde mode, which the combat in Infinite was awesome. So why wouldn't you want to experience that in a like kind of compete against yourself setting? So the season pass is the way to go with it if you are on the fence about it. But also I will say this, a caveat about it, if you are a player that likes to breeze through things, you may not enjoy the DLC that much. It's very obvious that the DLC is garnered for Bioshock 1 fans.
Were you playing it
Bioshock 1 fans?
On normal or hard?
I was playing on hard, which is, I found it to be a lot harder than Bioshock Infinite.
I will agree to that because I'm playing it so far on hard as well, and I don't think I've had enough money to buy anything from any of the vending machines yet because I keep dying.
Yeah, I don't. It was pretty much the same issue with me. I feel like you eventually do come across splicers in it, and the splicers are just as difficult to contend with as they were in Bioshock 1. Very, very, very random in their patterns of attack.
Well, like with Bioshock Infinite, like I played through the campaign in that on hard mode my first time through, and I kind of regretted it towards like the back half of that game because the enemies were mostly just bullet sponges. Like I didn't have a hard time tactically with the game, and I didn't have a hard time with like ammo management. It was just I got to put a whole lot of shots into these guys. So for the DLC, I'm playing it on normal. So, but I have noticed that there's a at least early on, like I'm only 2 hours in, like I haven't finished it yet, but it seems to have like less ammunition on hand.
Definitely less ammunition. It is very much Bioshocky.
I usually get into a firefight thinking, oh crap, only 3 rounds in the revolver and about a clip's worth in the machine gun. Let's see if we can make this work.
Yeah, you definitely have to rely on your plasmids. It seems a lot more.
Okay, and is it harder than just being bullet sponges?
They're definitely not bullet sponges. They're just more aggressive. A lot of the enemies in Bioshock just kind of hang back and wait for you to shoot them. The splicers come after you, and they're very, very, very aggressive. But they're not bullet sponges. There's only one encounter that's a bullet sponge, and I don't want to spoil it. And that encounter is easily the best encounter of the entire game. But I mean that I didn't die against that fight. It was just a really well thought out encounter. But the rest of the encounters in the game, you're always low on ammo, just scrounging for that, and you're always low on health. You're on hard mode. Your shield goes away in like 2 seconds, and you get some of the upgrade potions that come from Infinite. Excuse me. To up your shield or your Eve. I love how I'm calling it Eve and Plasmids now. Like as soon as you start playing it, the DLC, you just get returned back to Bioshock lingo. Yeah, and the story.
How about that atmosphere?
Yeah, the atmosphere's fucking fantastic. I mean, it feels like Bioshock. They did a really good job.
Yeah, I think it's gorgeous. It immediately, it's kind of stunning to see Rapture before the fall, just because it's.
Oh yeah.
It's so creative. I mean, and I really like Bioshock Infinite. And I really like Columbia. Like I thought that was pretty gorgeous and inventive. But there's something about Rapture to where it was. I don't know. Out of the two, it's probably the more memorable of the locations, and seeing that to where it's not just 2D backdrops in this case, but to where it's there's some actual depth to the city. I don't know, and especially because it gives you plenty of opportunities early on to just like look out one of the big windows and get like a really good view of Rapture. I don't know. It's stunned me. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
There are tons of great views like all throughout the game. When you go in the bathysphere again too, and you just see the radio on the wall, you're just like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff.
I really like the animation. I think Elizabeth again is fantastic. She was outstanding in Infinite, and they just like that opening encounter with her, like her facial animation when she's puffing the cigarette was super impressive.
Oh yeah, I love it. Well, I told Kozvac about this, Kayla, before we started recording. My favorite thing when I first turned on the game was that the very first visual thing that catches your eye when you open the door is a baby carriage and a woman, and that's the very first thing that people saw when they came out of the very first alive thing in first Bioshock, which you saw the baby carriage and the woman. So the whole DLC is super fan service, but it's good fan service. It's not like really shitty fan service. It's really good. It's really,
really
for that.
Well put
Especially
together
after fan service.
Like shit earlier this year, the Citadel DLC for Mass Effect 3. See, if it's done well, then it's like, hell yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
And so 2 hours in, took you 4 hours to beat it, so I'm still in probably for another 2 hours, because I'm probably playing like you are.
Yeah. What point in the story are you? There's no real spoilers in this story, by the way, people. The only spoiler in it is the ending. Literally the last 15 minutes is spoiler territory. The rest of it is, okay, we know that you're going to do these things. So a pretty generic game objective. So don't worry yourself too much if you don't want to hear a spoiler. You're not going to hit anything that's going to ruin it.
I'm about 20 or 30 minutes past the titular line of Burial at Sea.
Okay.
So if that gives you an idea of where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of frozen dudes.
Yeah, a lot of frozen dudes. Have you fought the frozen dude?
No.
Okay. So, I know exactly where you are.
There's this great line where he's like, what killed the dinosaurs?
No Arnold quotes out of him.
No, it would have been brilliant, though.
Wow. You should totally add that to the game. That'd be fantastic.
Just patch that in there. Kevin Levine. Get on this.
Okay, so Burial at Sea DLC, we covered that. Next up, I think game that all three of us have played a whole shitload of.
Yes.
Battlefield 4.
Yes.
Oh, the meat and potatoes of the podcast.
I don't know. I think it's better than meat and potatoes.
More like meat and potatoes with a cake on top.
If you're going to say meat, like, at least describe the meat. We're talking, like, I wouldn't go full filet mignon, but it's definitely a good New York strip with some scalloped potatoes here. Like, you're talking some good, like, well put together shit, okay?
Yeah, I am.
So, I think what we were most impressed by, obviously, is the campaign.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, best part.
Best part of it. I didn't feel like the pacing was off. I didn't feel like the story was a little too heavy-handed. I felt like it was really well put together. No, I'm just kidding. It's shit. I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Ooh. I don't like. Let's just say that's the end of the conversation. The campaign, because it's the most tacked on piece of crap.
Be honest,
really just need to have a bot match.
I haven't touched it. Good. So I can't join you in this one.
I don't. You're fine.
it's good for the spectacle. I mean, it's cool to see your PC render this, right? Like it's gorgeous.
The only levels that I felt like I was like, whoa, cool, is the level they showed at E3, which is the boat, like that you're escaping that falls apart, and then the hurricane. Those are the only two visually those are the only two visual pieces that I actually responded to. I thought, holy crap, this looks nice in the single player game.
What about the top of the skyscraper at nighttime, to where you're inside the building, not like on the roof, but on like the loft floor, where it's like they got all those dangling lights.
It's pretty, but that didn't catch my eye. Like, the thing about that kind of game's fidelity level is it really, for me, it catches it when there's a lot of shit going on, and it's more impressive to me when all that shit is going on and it performs so well.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is like the first next gen game, and I mean, for obviously as a PC gamer, it's not as much of it's still like a high impact to me, but it's not as high of an impact as, say, like it will be for the people that pick up a Xbone and a PS4, and they'll put Battlefield 4 in, and their jaws will literally like hit their penis, and they'll give them a boner, and they'll ejaculate all over their TV screens and have to go return the systems. I don't know
if they've been on the console and play Battlefield 3 on the console. They might.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's quite an upgrade, but I don't know.
And with the 66 player cap, including commanders, that's definitely new for the console players.
They're gonna have fun.
I really wish they would retire the single player campaigns and focus entirely on multiplayer. And I think like the most effort they should put into a single player experience is bots. And I don't know,
Unreal Tournament, the whole thing. Not Unreal Tournament 3, because with that super shitty storyline on it.
Hey man, we got to capture the flags,
That has some way tied into their spawners, and we just came up with like a bullshit reason to make this work.
Was it the field lattice generator or something?
It's something like
flag?
Yep.
Yeah.
But multiplayer side of things, it's some of the most fun I've had with the shooter in years. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. They didn't undersell the Levolution aspects at all. They can be quite changing on the maps.
It's nice to get like a little bit of variety midway through. It changes it just enough to where it's like, okay.
Yeah.
My one complaint about all of it is just Rush does not work on any of the maps. None of the maps work for Rush.
It doesn't. That's been pretty much a good general consensus, I feel like, out of a lot of people that have played, is that the game types just don't work on all the maps. And it looks like Rush is the worst. It really takes the worst beating, unfortunately.
But Conquest is still good. And that's, of course, like bread and butter for the series. And the new gameplay mode, Obliteration, is a lot of fun.
Obliteration is...
No, not the Obliteration.
You don't like it?
He cries. He cries about it because we played the 3+ hour match because someone didn't have a time limit on a server. That's more of our fault joining the game than not knowing that there was no time limit.
I mean, I love going from level 1 to 5 in one match. That was awesome, but it was so long.
Yeah, that was when you literally kind of become a Benedict Arnold for your team in mid-match. You know that a game mode's been going on too long. That's pretty much how both of us felt like we were just That game mode is really good though. That's kind of it's Rush on wheels. It's kind of the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
And I like it. Honestly, I like it more than Rush. I feel like when you have like the linear from point A to point B objective of Rush, you have that funneling of bullets, and it's nice to have a funneling of objective. You know where you're going. You know where the fight's going to be, but it really, really kills the opportunities for flanking and like actually trying to think out how to approach an objective.
Well, and for the people that haven't played it, like Obliteration is to where a bomb spawns on the map. That's a neutral bomb. When one teammate captures it, then they have to take it to a designated objective, and they are displayed on the map to everyone.
Yeah,
and I think
free on each side.
Yeah, and I think one of the coolest things about Obliteration is that unlike Conquest, you're spreading out the players across Battlefield's gigantic maps, to where you got people taking on. I'm going to go to the back and capture point C because nobody's there. And it's a good strategic move sometimes, but that means that, the fight's all around you, but it's not focused. In Obliteration, you can get like a full 64-player game, all focused on one point, and it's all sorts of chaos.
Yeah, it is complete chaos. You're never safe at any point in the game because pretty much no matter where you are, you can have people paratroop down on top of you. It's basically the only way that infantry spawn is they'll either spawn on your squad mates that are on the ground, or they can paratroop or paradrop in. And the paradropping is really, really cool to do. Produces some pretty epic moments. I like it. I think it's a great addition to the game type, and I've been playing a lot of it.
How do you guys think it stacks up to the previous Battlefield entries?
It destroys them.
All right. I agree with, like, my caveat is just I think it's buggy. Like I feel like they pushed this out intentionally ahead of.
As we record, the patch came out, which so far I've only played like a couple of games since the patch was released, but I haven't experienced any of the crashes. The biggest crash that I wanted them to change was when the game came out. Everyone knows who's played it. If you played on Siege of Shanghai, 50% of the players would get disconnected when the building crashed. That was like the key moment in the match, and you would get DC'd.
The one from all the commercials.
Yeah, it would crash the game. It wouldn't disconnect you. It would crash the game. And so far, Kozvac and I just played on a match on that, and nobody got disconnected. So it looks like they fixed that specific crash.
Yeah.
How about
I played a couple of other servers like before Lance jumped on, and it seemed like everything was pretty stable. One or two servers still had some rubber banding issues, but that was more because there was assholes in the room that had 400 pings.
Yeah. I feel like once you get players like that, then I don't think that's the game. So what about the sound issues on maps like Gulman Railway?
We haven't done that yet.
We have not done that yet. I did play around on Gulman, but I wasn't really getting the sound issue. So I've only played one match, like maybe 10 minutes of a match. So I don't know if that was just the server's okay, because sometimes it's okay and it doesn't happen. But sometimes it does. So I can't really comment on that.
Yeah, fingers crossed that's fixed it. I still, again, after Battlefield 3, I really like the battle log. I think it's extremely handy just to have it in a browser. And I can just pull up multiple tabs while the game's loading in the background, and read the news, go through my emails, whatever, and then the game pulls up when it's ready. And the amount of information that it's tracking, and the ability to set missions for your friends to go after specific objectives or play a certain way is really cool. It's a neat metagame.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. I wish you could invite more people into the missions. You can only do 4 at a time, but it's a nice side little sub meta to kind of chase around. You do unlock stuff by doing the missions, so there is a incentive into doing it beyond just dicking around with your friends.
Is it just like a battle pack or something that you get, or an XP bonus?
It looks like it's pretty basic stuff, like some dog tags and stuff. I haven't looked at all of the unlocks to see like if you go like veteran mission wins and something, if you can get extra stuff. But it looks like the preliminary unlocks are just dog tags, which is pretty much what all of the assignments are out of the gate. So but that's still something. It's an extra little piece of customization. It's tiny, but if you can achieve it, you're going to probably have something that a very small part of the community will have. So you get to have, it's cool to you.
Yeah,
if you like that.
Yeah. I feel like this game's just like there are a few more issues to where I wish it was easier to invite somebody into a match. I mean, it's easy to join a friend, but to get their attention and send them an invite from in game,
Yeah, so that's a bit of a pain. There's no like real alert system if someone's chatting with you through the battle log. I found so like I'll get off my game, and then I'll come back 30 minutes later and like, oh, this dude's chatted with me. I had no fucking clue that he was doing that while I was playing the game, so I didn't think to look.
It's also agitating to like not be able to be like, oh, my buddy's in this game, I want to join them, because it gives you the pop-up in Origin, but then you can't join people's games through Origin in game. So you have to close the whole game out and then reload the whole game.
Apparently they've patched that with this, that you can join people's games easier.
Sounds like a hell of a patch.
And actually, Kozvac, you can, if you go to the battle logs in the top right corner, where it has like shows your friends online and shit. If you click that, you can actually join people's games through that. Now, there's no guarantee that game's not full. So if the game's full, it'll load halfway, then kick you out and say you're in a queue, and it'll start loading again.
I think what he's talking about is like if he's on like his library, like his Origin library, and that's what's up in the background, not the battle
if
log
you join
itself.
through Origin, it'll boot up Battlelog, but it won't actually continue to join to the game. You have to okay. Well, that's kind of silly. That is silly.
So, it's like it's a little bit of give and take, but a lot of stuff that they don't have hammered down feels like that's going to be fixed in a couple patches, and it's a really slight, minor, inconvenient stuff. The stuff that they've really nailed, I feel like, at least as far as Conquest gameplay modes are concerned, is that the maps have much better flow to them. Like you're not funneled as much. And it seems like each one of the maps, on top of having the levolution that changes it pretty significantly, so you get additional variety. But each one of the maps has these, kind of like what you pointed out, Brennan, yesterday, that there are like little quadrants of the maps, and it's like this is a little biome that's different from the rest of the map, and it's like this changes gameplay fundamentally for this one spot. I think that's really cool because then it's like you've got multiple maps in one, and it all flows together extremely well. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, or if you dig it or not?
Well, I mean, the most obvious example of that, it's a larger change, but in a map like Parasol Storm, where, in the beginning of the map, you have, it's pretty basic. It feels very Wake Islandy, mixed with whatever that map was in Battlefield, like the original Battlefield 1942, where it was mostly a plain map. It was an island. It wasn't Wake Island. It was another island hopping map. I think that might have been it. Anyway, it feels like that. It's very island hoppy. Very, very cool. Looks wise. But there's a point on that map where it's just a sunken ship, and all of a sudden, like you play it where it's this island hopping kind of jungle environment, and then you end up on the ship where there's a bunch of like ragged shrapnel everywhere. You can get inside of the ship. There's a lot of really cool in and out areas in that. It's a whole separate side of the map. Like it's actually very much kind of tucked away from the main point. So if you end up there, it becomes this whole different defense way to defend the point compared to the other points. And then of course later in the match you can cause the ship to crash, which changes that whole point that it hits completely.
Yeah,
completely changes that point on the map. Makes it a whole of a lot more open and much more of a vertical fight, which is cool.
I think that's like the community favorite right now. Is Parasol Storm. What about you, Caleb? What do you think? What's your favorite map so far?
I think my favorite is Zavid 711. I mean, it doesn't have the biggest levolution in it because all that really happens is that tower falls down. Mm-hmm. It breaks that connecting point of the roofs between B and C. But yeah, you can definitely tell that like this game was made for Conquest, unlike Battlefield 3, which that one was definitely made for rush maps. Like all those maps were like for rush intended, and this one is more Conquest intended. As soon as they port those over, I would go as far as to say that it seems like Battlefield 3 was made as a console game with Battlefield playstyle, and that 4 has been made for the PC community.
See, I was about to make that same point, but I think it's also even more so that it was the Xbox 360 and PS3 were the lead platforms for that entry into the series. Yeah. And now that they know that next-gen consoles are coming, and that's going to be like their PC, and that's going to be the bed they're sleeping in. So it feels like the maps are much more open, while Rush seems like that's a specific layout that's a concession to the way that consoles could load the map and the textures. Mm-hmm. Having it to where it's a linear point-to-point, and then it can... LOD everything, and with Conquest being so open and most of the maps now being much wider as opposed to a long line like a Damavan Peak or something. Yeah. That definitely seems more of a PC thing, but that could be bullshit. I mean, there were some pretty big maps in Battlefield 3.
Oh, definitely.
I would like to vote Damavan Peak as worst map out of all of them. Hate that map. I hate it so much. It's so
Wait, you hate Damavan Peak from Battlefield 3?
No, the new, not Damavan Peak, the new level in which it's like the dam and the 3 points. Damavan Peak's one of the best ones. No, I'm talking
about Lakang Dam?
Yeah, Lakang Dam. Oh, God, that one's so bad. It's so boring.
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, it's not the best one, but definitely. I don't think it's terrible, though.
I don't think is the dam supposed to break down and like flood the level?
Yeah, nobody breaks the dam.
Yeah, nobody can break the dam.
It doesn't flood, does it?
It doesn't flood. It just destroys a lot of the middle area. It causes the bridges to be destroyed in the middle area of the map. so it funnels vehicles a certain way, and it causes it to be a lot more of an infantry fight in the upper mid part of the map. And because of that, people don't really play it that much. It does throw some debris around the map too and cause some different changes, but it's not super drastic. It's more like a visual ooh when it's breaking.
And that center point too is just the worst center point ever because it's on this like tiny little island which forces infantry. But all you really have to do is just have boats patrol around it, and you can destroy everything that's on there. There's no real hiding, no cover, or anything like that. It's just, here's a little island, here's a couple trees and a rock. Here's the point. Have fun trying to take that one, motherfuckers.
Yeah, I was definitely hoping for more of a Kubra Dam from like Battlefield 2, because
yeah,
I really like that map. But okay, so Battlefield 4, we all dig it. Sounds like.
Don't play the single player. Play the multiplayer.
China Rising will be coming out soon. Supposedly there was a nice juicy leak saying that there's going to be 4 new maps coming in, along with the new weapons.
What are the maps like? Did it have screenshots or anything?
They don't have screenshots of the maps themselves, according to the leak. It was just like the listing of the maps themselves.
Okay.
I think the China Rising maps. There is a trailer for them. They're going to be much more. It looks like the vegetation-wise, they're going for like the China, the mountains and the hills, the very, very green fight. And it looks like they're adding a new bomber to the maps too.
With names like Dragon's Pass and Taklamakan, I believe it might be a little more Chinese.
Mm-hmm. Dragon's Pass. I wonder if that's going to be like Dragon Valley from Battlefield 2. Is that what that map was called?
Yeah, there was Dragon Valley. That'd be cool if they like kind of snuck in a Battlefield 2 remake.
Outside of Karkand, which I'm sure will be making a return at some point.
I don't know about Karkand. They showed the returning maps in that pack. Karkand's not one of them. Oman is, but Karkand is not. I think that Oman would work better as a Battlefield 4 map than Karkand would, in all honesty.
Yeah, you could probably bring down those big cranes or something for the Levolution.
Yeah, I don't know what they would do with Karkand for the Levolution, because they are adding Levolution apparently to all the maps. And like one thing that they were theorizing that it looks like in the trailer that was shown, that in Operation Metro, which is another one of the maps, you can like break the floor out now. So you can
I saw that.
Cause some kind of interesting maneuvers that you could not do before.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Next month. Early next month, too, right? And then like December 3rd or something?
Yeah, December 3rd is, I think that's the China Rising release. And then I probably won't see the remake maps until like February.
Oh, is that a console exclusive thing? Like timed exclusive, not.
I think the Xbone gets the remake maps first, yeah.
Okay.
Bummer. So. Whatever.
That's business.
That's business. Okay, so let's see. Brennan, what do you want to talk about next? You got a list.
I do have a list. If I'm going to go first, we'll go through our little two content. Well, actually, more like 2 things. The expansion for XCOM came out, and for people that have been following the podcast, that was my favorite game of that year. So I was very, very excited to get the expansion, and very happy to say it's fucking fantastic. It's fucking fantastic. There hasn't been, I feel like the word expansion for a game. Like I feel like only applies nowadays to like MMOs. I feel like there isn't an expansion for any other kind of game. So it's that and the Civ games. And it's just for Axis. So it's nice to see like another good expansion coming out for a game that's worth the money. They added a lot of content to Enemy Within that makes it way worth the purchase. I wish there's like to go about the enemy types. There's only they added, most of the stuff they added was for you, the player, not for like fighting enemies. There are like 2 more enemy types. I wish there was a little bit more than 2.
Yeah, didn't they add mech enemies and the stealth ones that fly around and take you from behind?
Yeah, they
stealth
added these
flying enemies. Fuck
yes.
They sound like a pain in the ass. They're not that big of a deal. What they are is when you see them, as soon as you see them, they go invisible and they start flying around the map, and they will go after a unit they feel like is away from the rest of your squad, and they will start strangling that unit. If you do not shoot them off of your soldier within a time limit, they'll die. So, and also while they're being strangled, obviously that soldier is disabled. So there's a high incentive. Not only you don't want them to die, but you can't use that soldier. So that's a big problem, obviously, on the harder difficulty.
So keep an assault next year, sniper.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems like a sniper counter to stop people from having those the squad sight snipers.
Yeah, because the snipers were deemed to be the two best classes that a lot of people thought. I didn't think they were the best. They're just the ones that they had the most success with were the assault classes and the sniper classes. Assault classes are still fucking fantastic, but the sniper class definitely got some nerfs to it, not just through itself, but through the enemy that they added. The other enemy they added was the sectoid. No, the mechtoid, not the sectoid. Sectoid's a normal name. The mechtoid, which is a normal sectoid put into a giant mech suit.
Oh, of course.
So cute, but the thing rapes you if you get too close to it. The thing can generate a shield. It does devastating amounts of damage. The rounds that it shoots will destroy cover. It's very, very, very much a challenge when you see one, and it is scary. It's nice to see another enemy being added that is scary.
What is that kind of like in terms of strength? Is that like a cyber disc or something? Comparable? Or more powerful?
I'd say it's worse than a cyber disc. I think cyber disc. The thing about a cyber disc is a cyber disc, like the real danger of a cyber disc was the grenades that it threw. And you could pretty much avoid that from being too much of an issue before it got to you. The mechtoid, on the other hand, can move a little bit. I think it moves faster. Its firepower is much more destructive is much more of an issue since it can destroy cover. And it will possibly just like one-shot enemies immediately. Because it'll have the punch move that the normal mech units would have, which I'll get to in just a second. So it's a very big issue. I would deem them to be more challenging. And then to get away from the enemy parts, they added the stuff that they added content-wise for the player is immense. And the very first thing that they added was a new risk-reward, a currency in the game called Meld.
Meld.
When you boot up the game, the very first mission will show you Meld. So it's not something you get introduced to like midway through your playthrough. Like you instantly see it. Now, it doesn't tell you what you can use that Meld for immediately, but you can start collecting it and stockpiling it. The problem with Meld, and the reason why it's a new reward system, is Meld only stays around for a few set turns. If you go past that turn, it expires. It just goes dead. So you can't pick it up for the rest of that mission. So you have this choice where you see a Meld count and you're like, fuck, it's got 2 turns left on it. I'm far away. Do I want it? Do I want to risk my soldier picking it up? Because if I get it, I can start, building all this new shit that they added to the game. So that's a really, really awesome addition to the game and makes it a lot more challenging. I was going to say, that
sounds like something you would love with the risk versus reward shit.
I love it. It's awesome. It totally makes every playthrough, like, missions are a lot more hectic now with that addition. And what the Meld...
good, because they were so calm and relaxed.
They were calm before. Yeah, now they're going to be even more ridiculous. I don't know how, like, if Meld only shows up in certain types. Like, I don't know if Meld will show up in the invasion missions where you're the enemy, like where you have to rescue the. I can't remember the name of those missions. Like the ones if you don't do them, panic will raise so high that you'll basically lose the zone.
Like the VIP escort ones.
Not the VIP escort ones. The ones where you first fight the Chrysalis. The ones where you have to save the humans. No, it's not. Is it the council missions? No, it's not the council missions. It's like the full-blown invasion missions where they have been attacking the city. I can't remember what those are called. Anyway, those I don't know if it appears in those missions yet. I haven't done those missions. But they have that, and then... But, okay, back to Meld. Meld they added to the game, and what Meld does, and the reason you want to pick it up, is because Meld is the only way you can get the new upgrades for your units. And you'll get cyber soldiers, you will get giant mech soldiers, and with the Meld, you can also alter DNA, like you can give a soldier 2 hearts. I don't know what that upgrade does, I just know of that upgrade. So
Flingification.
You can give you can give your soldier like robotic legs with Meld, and he will be able to scale buildings now instead of using like the rope gun. So you can just jump to the top of buildings. So it's a big, like, if you have a sniper, obviously you want to give it to your sniper so you can jump to the top of rooftops instantly and get that sight bonus.
And then surprise, cyber disc on top of the building.
Yeah, surprise, motherfucker. There are a few other ones, like that's just a basic example of that. And then you also have like the mech units. The mech units are the biggest addition to the team. They can't take cover. They're humongous. They can't be critted pretty much at all. Like they can be, but they have a passive bonus that really negates crit chance on them, and they have a lot of HP. Apparently in normal difficulty, I'm not playing on normal difficulty, I'm playing on classic difficulty, which it's still hard even with them in, but apparently on normal, they make the game a cakewalk. Like they're stupid powerful. And they are stupid powerful still on classic mode. But the difference is in classic mode, they can still be wiped out pretty quickly if you just put them in the front and be like, hey, what's up?
Now, do they still have like the upgrade path to where it's laser weaponry, then plasma weaponry?
They have their own weapons, but it looks like that they definitely can get their own like laser variations. They have a flamethrower weapon that can shoot in a cone, and if you get like 3 enemies in that cone, you can instant kill like chrysalids with it.
Don't they also have a super punch like in Pacific Rim?
Yeah, they have the super fist. Yeah, they have the super fist. The super fist can break through cover. Pretty sure it can break through cover to hit enemies, and it will one shot I think just about anything except for berserkers and like giant units.
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of Big O in
XCOM. Yeah, and they're fucking cool. Like they're really cool units.
Okay, and how about maps like scenarios?
They added
and
40
shit?
new. They added 40 new maps.
Nice.
So apparently people have been having issues. Like they still see a lot of the same stuff over and over again, but the variety, you can obviously see the varieties there.
Okay.
So I mean that's just gonna fucking happen. I can't really complain about that because with the immense amount of missions you're doing in the game, like you're gonna run into sometimes you're in the same map. It's just gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean with any edition would be good and very welcome because I mean you definitely in Enemy Unknown that was like one of the few knocks against it was the fact that you do see the same maps occasionally.
Yeah. And like they added like a dam as a new kind of scenario, so you can be on top of like what looks like the Hoover Dam. Cool. Another map is it looks like a farm, so there's like wheat, very tall wheat and barns and stuff. It's cool. Like the stuff they added is not using the same palettes, which is the bigger change. It's not so much that they added maps; that they just fundamentally use different art assets.
Does this add new story missions to the basic campaign, or is it?
It gives you Slingshot. And it gives you this other DLC that they were adding that was going to be part of, which is another addition to the game. They were originally going to add the Exalt Force, and the Exalt is a splinter group of basically terrorists that want to capture alien technology and like undermine your ability to save the planet. They're dumbasses. Like in the realm of story, they're fucking morons. They're more okay with like the Earth blowing up, but them getting alien technology. It's kind of stupid, but they can invade your base. So you have like base invasions. You can get let's see. You will have missions where you have to like infiltrate them. So you'll pick one soldier from your group and send them off. Yeah, so human enemies. So you can send them off to infiltrate their group, and then when they're done infiltrating, you have to go and rescue them, extract them from their point. And so there you have extraction missions. So you have to find them and get them back to the extraction point, which is good. It's not like VIP because they can actually defend themselves. There's some of the Exalt missions involve you hacking points on the map. So when you fly in, and I don't know if it's just the extraction missions, but it seems like that's what it's been. You will have points on the map you will go to and then initiate a hack, and you have to survive, until the hack's done, and you have to go get the other one. It forces you to to move through the map a certain way, and they will constantly funnel enemies back into the map until you've hacked both the points. So they can always come at you from a lot of different angles, so it's pretty challenging. The human enemies aren't too insanely tough. Like I still see the aliens being way harder, but they're definitely like a really cool addition to the game. But the Exalt also undermines your council scores. Also, they can go into certain countries and start fucking with your supplies you'll get from them and cause panic levels to raise. So you have to act against the Exalt too. You can't just let them run loose. They are something that is there, and you have to take care of them.
Oh, those bastards.
Yeah. But the other DLC they had is they had the slingshot, and then they have this other DLC mission that you kind of happens. Apparently, the trigger for it is like later in the campaign, and you don't have to do it. It involves you getting a new squad member, and it's this girl. I don't know like all the details around it, but that's in the game, and
it's like another story thread, kind of like Slingshot.
Yeah, the tiny stuff that like, and then just the two last things about it. There's tiny other additions. You can give medals to your troops. So if they do really well, it looks like that's the kind of the way you earn them, or something like that. You can, or maybe it's not that. Maybe you just kind of unlock. I don't know exactly the whole system on the medals because I haven't seen them yet. I just know about them. You can apply them to your troop, and they will get a small passive bonus to something that is relative to their class.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it's a cool little thing. It also makes it much more painful when they die, because they will die. So, and then also, if let's say your troops from Russia, you can make them speak Russian now. So if you have a Russian, if you have a Frenchman, if you have someone from Spain or whatever, they will speak Spanish, Russian, and French, and your Americans will speak English, and so on and so forth.
Speak American.
Yeah,
damn it,
Speak American. And so on and so forth. And that was really cool. They had a lot of other customization for your troops too. It's a fucking awesome. Rad expansion. Yeah, like it's way worth the money.
Yeah, for Axis. I mean, they nailed it the first time around. So $30 for XCOM: The Enemy Within.
Yeah, way worth it.
Okay. Well, Kozak, how about you? What have you been up to?
Much other than making crappy video reviews. I put up one for Amnesia a couple of weeks ago. I'm sitting at 24 views. So yeah,
yeah,
that's an achievement.
I think that might have more to do with the lack of interest in Amnesia: Machine for Pigs from the public. That's on the review.
I kind of missed the peak of interest on that game because it only lasted about a week. That, and there was a lot of technical issues with it. Like I had my sound volumes way too low. That was like my number one thing people were telling me about it. But so for the course of scary video games, I picked up Outlast during the Halloween sale on Steam and give that a whirl. And as I thought, I like that way more than I like Amnesia: Machine for Pigs. It's actually way scarier. Like in Amnesia, I complained about like after the first couple of encounters with the monsters, you're like, oh, it's just these guys. Oh well, I'm not scared of these people anymore. In Outlast, you're continually scared by these people because they switch out who's chasing after you instead of these monsters. And it's got a few different problems, like storyline, it's not great. And there's a few areas where it's like, oh, I'm being chased by this guy. I'll jump over this counter, and then the guy will be like, oh no, I can't pass this counter. I'll go away now. I'm sorry I disturbed you, sir. Have a great day.
I don't know how to mount things. I'm a crazy person.
It's like a dog when you walk over a fence, like, how did you get over that tall wall?
Are you a wizard?
But yeah, it does have some design, like a few design issues like that, and like it's really creepy to be like, okay, I gotta go around this area and explore and search and find batteries and boop them into my camcorder and stuff like that. But then you get into these points where this happens way too many times, but you get sent into the zone, and it's like, oh, find these two things to do, find A and B to do part C. And you're like, oh, fun. So it's basically you just kind of running around crazy and trying to find parts A and B to make C work. And that happens about 4 or 5 times during the game, and it's a short game. And it's there just to mostly just expand game length. You can just tell right off the bat. That's all it's there for.
Oh, and that's kind of lame.
Yeah, it's still scary to go through those parts because you're still being chased by homicidal murderers. And there's some great moments where there's one moment, I call them the Penis Brothers, thanks to Jim Sterling's description of them. But they're basically just two redneck hillbillies with machetes, and they run around naked. And I'm like, okay, I just gotta go in this next room over here. And I open the door, and they're just both standing right there, and they just look up at me. I'm like, bye! And I shut the door and run away. Like, there's so many just great runaway moments in that. There's also another segment where he's the best character in the whole game, and he's like this crazy, messed up CEO who's become a doctor just because he's going fucking nuts, and he's operating, doing these horrible experiments on people. And like at first, your first little reveal that like he's coming up is just a note that you find. It's like, so I guess I found out people can't live too long without the kidneys. That's good to know. I didn't really believe in this biology stuff and nothing like that.
Good thing I keep sticky notes.
Yep. But
so you see it from a camera's perspective, right? You're like a reporter or something?
Yeah, you start out as the most stupidest protagonist in the world, as the internet likes to call him, because he just does all the dumbest fucking things.
Has he covered wars?
No, he has not covered any wars. This is his big breakthrough story, so I'm sorry, he's got nothing on Dead Rising whatsoever.
Maybe after this he can start covering wars.
Maybe.
The origin of Frank West.
Frank West was in a spooky psychiatry hospital. But yeah, it pulls up if you go to the psychiatry hospital and everything runs really smooth. It's like the best example of how the Unreal 3 engine still is a good powerhouse. You could do great things with it. And it should be able to last into the next gen, like no problem for a couple more games.
What do you mean? Is it just like huge environments or something, or just
really pretty?
Okay.
There are a couple of really big environments, and the game does show those off when you actually get to explore and stuff like that. I'm just losing my train of thought.
So is it like
here.
point to point? I'm sorry, I'm throwing you off. I'm asking you shitloads of questions. Is it point to point? I mean, I know you said that occasionally they'll say like, okay, you need to go get A and B in order to open this door or something. Is it open to facilitate that sort of game design, or is it still mostly point to point? And then okay, here's an area to where you get room to explore.
Basically, it's point to point to the point that you get sent into an area, you do all the shit, but you're exploring around in that area, and then it goes into like, okay, now follow this path to the next area, and then you get another big area to explore.
Okay. And you're in an asylum, right?
Yeah, you're in an asylum.
Okay. You see most of the game through a night vision camera, right?
A good portion of it. You can also suggest to like not use the camera whatsoever, but you miss out on a lot of like the protagonists will write notes, and a lot of them seem like Easter egg notes too. Like you'll accidentally kill a guy, and you come back and he's got like some smirky like comment about it. And you're like, this is a clever guy. This comedian, he's entertaining us all. Where does that body come from? And like the game also has it's jump scare everywhere. There's just jump scares all up in the game. But like you can also see a lot of them coming up, but it's smart about its jump scares too. Mm-hmm. Like at first it's like, oh, a scary thing fell in front of the door and you got spooked. And there's also segments where you'll see a guy in a chair, and like that fucker's gonna leap out after me. I know it. And you'll pass by him like once, you'll be like, oh, it's not gonna do anything, it's fine. And then you go and you do like no A to get to net B so you can do C. And you're walking back and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna take my time. This he's not gonna bother me. And then he jumps out and grabs you and shit like that. And then sometimes they don't even do that. So it really keeps you on your toes for certain parts.
Mm.
But,
yeah, I hear that.
There is, I still need to bitch about this one part because it just broke the game for me. I had to look up walkthroughs and stuff like that. And it's about halfway through the game when you meet the doctor guy, the cool guy that I was talking about. But there's segments in the game which are basically, they look like their time, where they'll have the enemy patrol a certain area and you need to do something like within that time before he spots you. And then you can just easily go and hide under something really quick and just break the game and keep going back and retrying. But I just kind of hate that the guy just doesn't go away. And you have like this small segment of time to push like a crate and open the door and close it.
Now, is it checkpointed or is it open for saves anywhere?
It is checkpointed and you can save, I believe. I can't remember too much about that. It's been a couple of weeks since I played it.
Okay. So, how long did it take you to beat it?
It took me about 6 hours to beat, which is not bad for a $20 game, all in all.
No.
Especially since there's this dope-ass part where you go in the sewers, but, you know, whatever.
Oh,
But
a
yeah.
notable sewer section.
A notable sewer section indeed. And yes.
Was it sewer shark?
No, there were no sewer sharks, and pizza monsters did not out jump up and attack you, and didn't fight the Rat King either. So it was really disappointing all in all. But and they do the whole thing where like the water starts turning into blood and bits start coming out and stuff like that. And of course, all the water starts turning red when you get into the women's part of the psychiatry hospital, which is weird.
Oh, lowbrow.
Yeah, it wasn't me. That was the game. It's literally in that game. You walk into the women's section of the psychiatry sewers, and then the water's red. And then when you go upstairs, like it's the outdoor lawn, and they purposely smacked a fountain in the middle of it, shooting blood instead of water. It's like, you guys.
How do you get that much blood into a fountain? Like, is there like?
There's a lot of bodies in the sewer.
Oh, okay.
There's literally like a door you can't open because there's bodies piled up in a room.
Well, goodness gracious.
Yeah. But
okay.
if you're looking for a good fright fest, like that game will scare you. It scared the pants out of 3 grown men in a brightly lit room, and we were still screaming while playing it because I had people watching me while I was playing it. So it's a good time. Pick it up. It has flaws, but it's a good game.
$20? Hell yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. The last game that I played that I don't know if either of you have tried it was the Wolf Among Us.
I have not tried it.
Nope. That was a hell of an experience. I think the first episode, since it's episodic like The Walking Dead, was probably 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours long, and definitely the evolution of where they were going with The Walking Dead, and they being Telltale Games.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know. They've kind of taken their own unique approach to the adventure game genre and taken it from like point and click puzzle solving to where now it's dialogue tree navigation, making interesting choices and having neat gameplay inside just a point and click interface. So the Wolf Among Us kind of you follow Big B Wolf, who's the big bad wolf, who lives in the Bronx in New York City with a bunch of other fables, fairy tale characters. I guess it's based off of a Dark Horse comic book. I've never read it, but this was a hell of an introduction to it.
Yeah, it's based on a fable, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, and it's I don't know. I mean, they handle it way better than I thought they would. And after playing The Walking Dead, I was kind of, down for whatever the hell they wanted to make. It was one of my favorite games of this generation. But I don't know. It's much sharper looking. It's got much better voice acting. It is just The Walking Dead greatly improved with them cutting out the bullshit gameplay that did not work. It has a lot of moments that are reminiscent of Shenmue as opposed to poor shooting segments.
Oh my god, do you look for sailors?
No, there's no looking for sailors. You are searching for a serial killer. It is a murder mystery, and with the Fable backdrop, it's pretty interesting. Since you're dealing with like these established characters that you've known about since your childhood, and they usually tweak them in some interesting way or another, and they come across as being really likable, especially Bigby, who is less of a blank slate as Lee. Like Lee from The Walking Dead, I don't know. I guess he kind of had his own established personality, but he's more of what you made that character to be. And Bigby, I mean, you've already got that. He was a bad guy who has become a somewhat decent human being, I say in quotation marks. So your ability to role play as Bigby is significant. And it offers a lot of variety in its choices and a lot of repercussions for them, at least as far as one episode of the game is concerned. I'm not sure how these choices will affect the next 4 in the series, but I'm definitely down to ride it out. I think as far as a singular episode, this impressed me more than The Walking Dead's first episode. It impressed me more than most of the Walking Dead series, outside of a few standout scenes. So I'm definitely down for it. And I think if you guys liked anything that The Walking Dead put out, then you'd be doing yourselves a disservice by not trying it out. But yeah, outside of that, it's mostly been Battlefield and prep for the next generation, really, with the PlayStation 4 coming out tomorrow.
Whoa!
I know.
There's already accounts of hardware failures from the early copies of the PS4 that have come out.
Yeah.
You expect that from a console launch.
Yeah, I'm not sure how widespread that is. Hopefully it's not an Xbox 360 scenario.
I think, most of the 360s, didn't they last until Dead Rising came out? And then when Dead Rising came out, that killed, I know in my neighborhood, killed like everybody's Xbox. Like it even took my first Xbox, was from my like near launch 360.
I don't know, since it was a problem on those with the solder on the boards, there were some that were affected more so than others. I know that some were red ringed right out of the box, and others, it was months later. My first Xbox 360 failed right before the release of Grand Theft Auto 4.
Oh wow, that thing actually finally failed?
Yeah.
I knew you had that launch one for years.
No. Well,
and we're what?
Yeah, GTA 4, not GTA 5. So, I mean, this was years ago. Like, so I sent that in, and, they repaired it, sent it back to me. I'm guessing it was just a new model with my hard drive installed in it. But it was a serious, 100% failure rate
for
the 360. So with this, I don't know, with enough people getting these consoles in the wild, one would hope there'd be 1 to 4% tops of these consoles failing, and not 25%, 50%, or God forbid 100%.
That would be a huge debacle on Sony's side, because they're getting so much trust from the public again. I
just don't trust the accounts of hardware failing in mass right before the console releases. It seems kind of sensationalist, especially since Sony is a hardware manufacturer. That's their bread and butter, and especially with Mark Cerny leading this effort, I don't think there's going to be large engineering snafus. I'd be very surprised if this was anything more than just kind of an outlier incident. But I guess we'll find out tomorrow.
Oh yeah, when UPS has one of their busiest days of the year.
Yeah. So hopefully it'll be waiting for me when I get home tomorrow. Already picked up in advance Call of Duty Ghosts, Killzone Shadowfall, and Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag to dig into.
The reviews are already starting to come out for a lot of that stuff, and Killzone's doing pretty good. I know that one for sure. But I know Knack has been getting so-so reviews.
Yeah, to put it lightly.
And a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, this might be the new Sony mascot for this generation is Knack." And a lot of people were like, probably not.
I think all three of us were kind of watching the console announcement when they showed Knack. I was kind of yeah, and, no.
Oh no!
I'm still renting it. I've got a subscription to GameFly, so that's one of the first games that I'm getting in. Just because due diligence, I need to play it. I'll also be playing Rise at some point in time as well. So
you'll be one of the few people, or probably the only people in this group to get an X-Bone right off the bat. So
I'm too curious about it not to.
Tell me if it's shit.
Yeah, you'll hear about it.
Oh, good. I want to hear about all of your cable box's problems.
What do you guys think? You think this launch is going to go smoothly, or do you think it's going to be some kind of a disaster?
I don't know. I've been hearing rumblings from because some of the outlets are getting their review copies already, but they can't use them because the day one patch hasn't come out, and they've both said, "Oh no, you don't need it to work it. We fixed that, right off the bat. We fixed it before we launched these." Even though when they first announced that they were changing their minds on the patch idea, that they would have to patch it to get it to work probably with all the new consoles because they were already manufacturing them. And now today there was another story saying Microsoft, you can't use them until you patch it.
Yeah, I mean, that hardware has been produced and stamped and put in a box so long ago that they're like, okay, we've got the hardware side of things, now we can just hammer out the software. So I mean, I'm having a day one patch for these consoles doesn't surprise me, and even if it's a necessary day one patch, doesn't surprise me, because I mean, that were they to launch with the software they had when they produced these consoles, they would be steaming pieces of garbage, would be my guess. I think these things are coming in like they're cutting it close, they're probably going to be on fire. So,
you could still smell the Terminator within the metal that they melted down for it.
Yeah, T1000 makes pretty good solder.
Good X-Bone right there.
Mm-hmm. High quality X-Bone. I really hope it's not shit. I really hope that both of these launch smoothly. I think that Microsoft has probably learned their lesson from last gen and has probably rigorously tested their fucking consoles. And
hopefully,
I had one Xbox 360 fail and I had one PlayStation 3 fail this gen. So
I've barely ever heard of stories of PS3s fucking failing at all.
It wasn't a total hardware failure. It was the Blu-ray drive, which since my console was out of warranty, it was like if I sent it back, it would have been I'm going off of memory, but I think it was between $120 and $150 to have it repaired. So I just grabbed another refurbished one and loaded in my like old PSN account. So I was like, fuck it, cut my losses.
Exactly.
But Brennan, you've been awfully quiet.
Yeah, are you still here? That's a no.
I'll take that as a no.
The box soldier, we're professional bastards.
Oh wow, I had accidentally muted my microphone. I must have done that by just leaning too far forward on the button. My bad. I was mostly quiet through that sequence anyway. It's hard for me to comment on the new consoles right now without actually having them in my hands. I've watched some people demo them on through some streaming. In fact, people demoing the stream application, the Twitch application. It seems so far like the PlayStation works well enough. People have. Apparently, there's some small, there's a small percentage of people that are having issues. There always is with any sort of technology that comes out. Nothing's ever perfect. It's always, thrown in people's faces more extravagantly with console failures because they are hyped up so much more than just like anything else on the market technology wise. But I don't. Until I actually have one, until I see it, it's hard for me to comment on it. So I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to throw too much in there.
Well, I know that you're the Dota player of the group. So
yes.
Massive patch I see on the show notes.
Yeah, massive patch. It's just under 800 megabytes in size, which for the game is huge, seeing as the game is just about a 9 gigabyte install. Last time I checked, so that's a pretty significant addition of content, and it's all content addition. It's not so much file changes and copying files. I'll try to go over as briefly as I can because I know you guys don't play it too much, but the community's there. There are people that have definitely listened to this and play it. So, backstory really quickly. So a lot of people bitched and moaned for weeks on end. I was not one of them. I have faith in Valve. I try not to.
Where's Diretide?
Where's Diretide? Yeah, they started whining about Diretide, and then that spawned off into whining about the lack of new characters being added. There's still a lot of characters from the old release that have not been added, and they were kind of coming at a pretty steady rate before. And then for the longest time, we have not had anything that kind of content added. So with Diretide being not coming out when it was supposed to, based off of it was supposed to be an annual event. That's what it said when it was first launched. So people were a little wigged out by it. But obviously, this is the more vocal, dickish side of the community that we don't really care so much about. Anyway, they replied to the fans about a week ago stating that they apologized for not being a little more open with what was happening. They've just been focusing on a very large patch. And that's pretty much all they said. They said, hey, you're going to get a big patch. You're going to like it. Just wait. And we're going to add Diretide to it because you guys want it. And we'll add, and not only will we put Dire Tide in, but we'll change it up a little bit too. And I'm not too into Dire Tide. It's a cool mode. It's way different than the main mode. It's not so much like tower defense. It's like collecting items on a map and like putting them and like feeding Roshan that like runs around the map now. I don't know all the rules, so I won't go into that or attempt to. I'll instead just go into the content that I think is like the coolest.
Roshan feeding, got it.
You got it. So I'll just go into the content, which I think is one of the best additions to a game I've ever seen. And it's the main reason I want to talk about it anyway. So they added 2 new characters, and they redid a model of Storm Spirit. The patch name is called the 3 Spirits, so we get the whole backstory and lore of these 3 characters. So you have the redone Storm Spirit model, who looks a little more svelte, looks like he's been on the treadmill a little bit, not so fat. We have the Ember Spirit and the Earth Spirit. All are sweepingly different in terms of their abilities. So 2 new character additions that are pretty well thought out. They look polished all hell. I think they're available in the Captain's mode, which is a really big deal. So that's cool. Now the real bread and butter of the patch. So they talked about when they first announced Dota, they were going to add a system in that was going to allow people to coach, to tutor in a way. And no one's really seen how that was going to work. They added that with this patch, finally. So we have a coaching system. The way that it works is you will have not just 5 people in a team. You have the ability to have an extra 6th person on your team that can tutor an entire team.
We like to call it commander mode.
Commander mode, yeah. It's literally, we have a commander mode for Dota now. He can see all the things that the players can see. He cannot see anything the enemy sees. And he can ping the map. He has his own private chat channels. If he's coaching one player or the whole team, he has his own private systems to communicate. So he's not going to be spamming everybody who's not part of your coaching team. And he can ping not only on the map, but he can ping buttons, abilities. He can ping anything that he would like you to do. That he thinks that's the perfect thing. And again, there's voice chat. So he can draw on the map. He can do everything. So you have this full-blown system in the game that is non-intrusive to the rest of the team you're playing with. You can do it. You can't do it, I think, in team matchmaking. I think it's only in solo matchmaking or something like that. Or it's some detail.
That
or maybe it's not.
Fascinating.
But it's fucking awesome. Like, now we have this system that can really, really help. Because as much as I would love to play the game with you guys, it's hard for me to play it and then both tell you guys what you need to be doing without sounding like a dick, and because I'm like in the middle of doing shit. So I'm just kind of like being very brief about it and kind of seeing, dickish. And that's honestly how a lot of the critiquing comes across in Dota, is it comes across as dickish because there's not a proper way to say it and have it seem more constructive.
Yeah, so dude, Yale's fucking up.
Yeah, like now we can do it and actually seem constructive because we can be right there as you're doing things and being able to say, hey, attack this now, like at this immediate point, and do this. We can actually do so. That's a significant, like really significant, and no other game has this.
Valve continues to impress me with just how nimble they are with this stuff, to where, and not only that, but just how ahead of the game they seem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it came to, like, with the international, we had a whole betting system that was added to the international people that wanted to watch the competitive side, and they added like this whole like trading card community to go along not only with their Steam but also with Dota, and that unlocked extra items. Like a lot of really cool shit that like really added this meta system to tournaments that tournaments didn't have before. And now that's going to probably become a standard, honestly, with a lot of tournaments. Now that was so popular. But yeah, the coaching system is fucking huge. And then not only the coaching system, they now added a crafting system to Dota that was similar to Team Fortress's crafting system. So items that you have, you can combine them with other items of certain quality types, and they will produce another item of that same quality type, or like one up it, or something else. You'll get something different. But that's cool. That's nice. The big change, though, is that they added a socketing system, a la fucking Diablo and World of Warcraft. The way the socketing system works is you can create gems, you socket into items, and these gems are of different kinds. There are kinds that can be autographed by professional players, so you can have personalized items. Since you have since you have 5 slots per socketed item, you can have an entire team autograph your items. Now and you can add like effects items and all kinds of stuff. Here's where this is really cool. Really, there's a system in Steam called the Community Market where you can put items up for sale. Now, other games, it's not it's there, but people don't really use it. It's there in Team Fortress, and you can maybe make like 5 cents off an item. Recently, there was a courier. There was a specific style of courier. You can't get it anymore, and it had a very special effect on it that I think maybe like the lowest percent of people have. It sold for $10,000. Now, here's the thing. We now have a crafting system in the game where we can get items autographed. Items have specific qualities, attributes. We have now this selling like eBay of Dota. It kind of existed, and it was more of a thing with Dota than it was with any of the other games, but now it's even more so. Technically, you could start making. You can't really make money. It's only Steam money. So it's like getting store credit. So you can use it in the Steam store to buy games. It's great. I got an item in Dota that was worth $17. I sold it for $17, and I bought
Wow.
Enemy Within. Yeah,
nice.
I bought Enemy Within and the Burial DLC season pass, or got the Infinite season pass for $35. So I
really need to go through
Nice.
my fucking inventory and sell my cards.
Yeah, you can just like sell your cards. They're not. Some of them are worth more. Some aren't. Some are like 10, 15 cents, but you can get some money off of it. But the biggest
I got a
deal
foil
about that,
Azura card.
and that was like it's another really freaking cool addition to the game, and it's incredible. Like I play the game and I love it so much because I love the depth of it. But beyond just that, like they now are adding these systems in the game that no other game has. Period. They just don't have. And it's fucking awesome. And then they also added a new system for pro players called player items. So now certain professional players will start having their own item sets for specific heroes created. You can buy those item sets, and when you do that, you are giving money directly to that player. So, like an example of the player for Team Liquid, his name's IX Mike. His hero that he plays a lot on his own free time is, I think it's his favorite, is Crystal Maiden. The kind of the key thing about IX Mike is he has a mustache. This mustache is like he has this logo that is like just a silhouette of a mustache and his like sunglasses and stuff that he wears. Well, we have this set for the Crystal Maiden character that puts a hood that it ends like it's a giant turtleneck kind of thing that ends around the mid level of Crystal Maiden's face and has a mustache on the front of it. So we have like these extra items that you can get for these little tiny things, but these tiny things are really amazing because they're really giving more of a thing to these professional players that play this game for hours, that they don't, you can't be a professional player and make a shit ton of money unless you're like Dindy or EG's like Evil Genius's like Jaidong for StarCraft 2. You can't.
Well, yeah, if you're winning these tournaments,
you have to be winning
you're making
them.
bank.
Yeah, if you're coming in second, third place, it's like having a second job. Like you can't sustain yourself. So it's another nice way for Valve to reach out and help these players that are putting this time into it to give them some more incentive to continue to play and entertain us as people who like to watch.
You should have one of those commercials where it's like these poor starving
Yeah.
professional Dota players.
Yeah.
Can't you give 25 cents a day?
I ran out of ramen a week ago,
Yeah.
and now I've only been eating these crumbs off the floor next to my keyboard. Please, send in 25 cents a day can save the lives of many professional Dota players.
Look at this mustache.
Yeah. So yeah, that was like that's pretty much like all the content of it. But it's very, very big content that they put in.
Well, that's fucking awesome. Okay,
Large
well,
system changes.
Kozak's got to
So.
run, so I think that we should wrap this podcast up and then
Okay.
revisit next week since there'll be a lot more to talk about.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining me, guys.
Yes. Thank you for people for listening. You have
Catch y'all later.
If you like what you hear, check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. You probably won't get that many content updates, but they'll be there.
We try.
You get reviews and podcasts when we feel like it.
Yeah.
Quick plug. Next Wednesday, I think starting early in the day, maybe throughout the entire day, will be the release of Soul Calibur 2 HD. I'll be playing that with a semi-pro friend of mine. He used to own the entire Malaysia scene, basically. He basically made a living off of playing the game in the arcades, through money matches. He will be playing the game with me. We'll be trying to play it through all day. So if you'd like to watch that, you can look up LTG1988 on Twitch, and we'll be doing that all day.
And we will...
That'll be the 20th of November.
And we will be in there periodically to insult both of you.
Yes. Please feel free to do that.